to my Mormon friends, my Latter-day Saint friends. Think of him as Captain Moroni.
I have faith that the Constitution will not be saved in Washington.
Travis Wayne Goodsall. Apparently, I have learned that God's arm is stretched out still, even though Mormons failed their judgment on Saturday. The Mormons at the base do not understand what they're doing. They do not understand the brainwashing that they've been exposed to and how they're falling for it. There's what's called in fallacy arguments, falsehood, does that sound better? A false dichotomy argument. It's where the only two options are available, and you have to choose between one of the two. This is what we are faced with in America. And yesterday, Senator Lee was on a podcast on a news channel over the internet. I don't know the guy. And two of my followers have referred me to a different copy of that video on YouTube. And Senator Lee was the one being interviewed and trying to rationalize why he supports Trump and not Vice President Harris for president. And he employs scripture to try to sway the naysayers who are going to vote for Harris as Mormons, saying that, they are believing that they need to vote for good and honorable people to fulfill their oath to the Constitution. And then he pulls Lucifer's tactics of false dichotomy to show that Kamala Harris is not a good and honorable person, and therefore we must default to Trump. Both Trump and Senator Lee were involved in January 6th. Our government failed to do their oath to the Constitution. I will read to you the Constitution. for what should have been done to Trump and Senator Lee and all else involved. 14th Amendment, Section 3. No person shall be a senator or representative in Congress or elector of president and vice president or hold any office, civil or military, under the United States or under any state, who, having previously taken an oath as a member of Congress or as an officer of the United States or as a member of any state legislature or as an executive or a judicial officer of any state to support the Constitution of the United States shall have engaged in insurrection or rebellion against the same, or given aid or comfort to the enemies thereof. But Congress may blah blah blah. Engage uses two of the several definitions involved, and no, it has nothing to do with marriage. The first one is participate or become involved in. The second one is enter into conflict or combat with. So I just saw an episode of Battlestar Galactica in which they found an asteroid that contained the trilithium that is needed for the fuel for the ships, but it was occupied and being mined by the Cylons, and so they had to perform an engaged conflict so that they could acquire the trilithium. Both Trump and Senator Lee are illegally running for office. Lee was 2022 after being involved and being exposed as being involved. This does not mean that they have to go to court and be judged, because this is an insurrection. This is a direct conflict or combat situation. That was led by Trump under the orders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, in case you've forgotten and you're not following my channel. Oaks confessed, it got leaked. Little sister missionary on her mission in Las Vegas, Nevada, recorded Oaks when he came to visit them, and thus confessed that the church is involved in all of the government conflicts around the world. So Israel, for example. Israel is engaged with the enemy. They are in combat. And so no, they're not going to stop. Israel is on the defensive. And, as I told you, the news is not doing their research. They're not telling you the truth. And so the latest school that was bombed, and hospitals, oh no, Israel's so mean. Yeah, they found the tunnels leading to the UN. The UN is behind this attack on Israel, using Gazans, Hezbollah, and wherever else it's going to lead. That's why the UN leader is always up there telling Israel to stop. He is the enemy. not Israel. I've also noticed, as of yesterday and this morning especially, while viewing over the news, a massive surge by psychology on both sides. Isn't it cold enough yet for you to die? And they only get in because they're like microscopic, sneaking through the screen. Make me use Lysol on you. You do know chemicals kill. I have a standing order. You're welcome to live outside of my apartment. But you occupy my territory, and I will engage the enemy. Tied it together. And so psychology is working on both sides of the false dichotomy. The church specifically utilizes psychology to overthrow America and the rest of the world. And so I saw it on Fox, I saw it on MSNBC, NBC, and even the local news here in Utah. Everybody is getting attacked by psychology, depending on which side you're on. And Senator Lee is part of this attack to claim to rationalize to Mormons why they should vote for Trump. We already know Lee is in bed with Trump. When Lee called out at a rally that Trump is Captain Moroni. That shows that Lee has no clue how to correctly interpret our scriptures. You need to know the history of Lee and his genealogy. John D. Lee, the murderer of women and children, and the coup of Joseph Smith. That same pattern in 1838 is what Senator Lee is doing to America. They are the enemy. Lee is the enemy. He is a direct descendant of a Danite. The Danites are coming. The Danites are coming. I'm referring to the video I did yesterday. You're gonna play dumb and have no clue how YouTube works. Come to one video, think you know better than me. Should I start calling these false accusers of boomers boomers? Because you've altered the definition of a boomer, and thus the new definition that you made can allow me to call you a boomer. Beam and moat, guys. Beam and moat. You got conned by psychologists. And so, yeah, it's sad that here in Utah, psychology is still pushing to abuse people. Despite all of the psychologists that are getting locked up in prison, that the treatment centers are getting shut down and sued. And still to have local news pushing psychology, to have the church pushing psychology. You're sick and wrong. Sick and wrong. But the war is escalating. The threats are escalating earlier than expected. Even the little weather girls who prophesied and revealed of both Helen and Milton are getting death threats, getting attacked for for being prophets and revelators. And have they never read their Book of Mormon? The enemy attacks prophets and revelators. So Thursday. Oops, I did it again. The windows of heaven are going to open up on Utah. The real windows of heaven, not the movie version turned into literal history at conference by Oaks. Hilarious! So, even though I've already done this video, we get to do it again, since you've been spared a few more days. Remember, if you think you know better, and you think that I have to be proven wrong to therefore default that the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is therefore true, you have to vote for them. Dumbasses. All these years, all the prophecies, all the revelations, and you still think you're going to bully me with denialism, hate comments, death threats, to threaten me to deny the truth that I myself have prophesied and revealed, and they've all come true. But enemies are as enemies are. They will not change. Thus, despite this, even Oaks, in his second coming talk, referred to the scriptures to let you know that God speaks through the weather. And so here we come. Yet another, because last night, nobody watches it, but a comet, prophecy and revelation, again proving Joseph Smith is a true prophet and revelator. And I came to find out that the first ever female 12 apostle didn't have a Urim and Thummim, so I made sure that she got hooked up with a Urim and Thummim. Oh yeah, I forgot to also mention that. I also saw on YouTube, there's some videos that reminded me of the 80s, back during the homophobia, when psychologists were trying to bully people out of the closet so that they can then go into therapy, which is conversion torture. Conversion therapy torture. That's what the trap was on the 80s commercials. If your child has these symptoms, call now, they could be gay. And then they disappear, and then the next year, if your kid has these exact same symptoms that we said last year, but we're not telling you that it was last year that we did it, your kid is now depressed. Well, it was depressed first, then it was gay. And then they're a terrorist. Gay, depressed terrorist. Psychologists hate you. They only trigger to get clients. And because nobody in their right mind would go to a psychologist willingly, psychologists have to bully you until you confess, or to bully the government to take away your agency and force you into it. Canada, for example, I can't remember where in Canada, they just passed a new law for which they can now forcibly incarcerate anybody that they deem mentally retarded. No rights to those people. Canada is also at war with Iran. All strange. So, yeah, diplomats have all been expelled from Canada as a result of this war. So, yeah, lots of things going around in the world as well, not just locally and nationally. But also during the 80s, which is, I'm still seeing YouTube videos talking about this, and they're using numerous forms of this. And women don't understand that they're under attack. It's not just Maybelline. If you saw SNL that tells women to buy their product now because you're ugly and you need to cover up. But you can look natural. And all of the weight loss diets and pills and tortures. You can eat like a bird and lose 50 pounds in one day. Buy our bird feed today. Just $59.99 for 2 meals of bird feed. Just a teaspoon is all it takes. Oh, God, I just want to cry. Because I know those little girls. There was one at Rick's. She could scarf down 2 dozen Big Macs. She's an expensive date. My kind of woman. Wonder what she's up to today. But, I mean, seriously, everybody is attacking mankind to destroy us and murder us using bullying and false dichotomy. Also, women got attacked for the blonde versus brunette. And only Gilligan's Island made it so that it was a battle between a redhead versus a brunette. And that was no question Marianne. But again, they're trying to force you to choose between a false dichotomy. And so in other cases, I'm being threatened to choose between a blonde or a brunette. And nobody seems to get it. Nobody seems to look at the bigger picture. It's all about love. It doesn't matter whether they're a blonde or brunette, dark-haired, redhead. Love. You should find somebody you love and who loves you. It's not complicated. But psychologists divert you away from this one and only one commandment given in Scripture that everybody has forgotten: love. And so, yeah, as much as I'm a redheaded fan, if a blonde loves me and I love her, I'm going to choose the blonde, but not generally a specific woman. This is what they're attacking people with. And so when I was in the older singles ward, this is how I was attacked by the women. They use code questions to test me. You've been conned by psychologists, and most of them in the older singles ward were psychologists, counselors, therapists. Because of the abuse by men, they became psychologists of one name or another, and thus remained single. And Sherry Dew became their idol goddess. There were several who knew her personally. And so, yeah, they have been abused through the psychological manipulation of false dichotomy. And it also incorporates a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is what the YouTube videos and the commercials back in the 80s were all about. One particular guy was becoming famous by doing his advertisements for his new book, How to Sleep with Any Woman You Want, regardless of their marital status, regardless of their religious status. You can get any woman to sleep with you. And so, yes, I still see those videos. It's taken a new form from the 80s commercial of that book. Well, all he was doing was using psychology. And so women will see that and go, oh yeah? And they'll read it to find out how to be manipulated. And then during that certain time where they're horny, will be thinking about cheating. And thus, sure enough, any guy is able to sleep with them. This is a psychological manipulation that is perpetuated on people. And you also saw it in popular books of men are from Mars, women are from Venus, etc., etc. Then it transformed into self-help books. And the church came out and said, stay away from them, even though they had family services, using their psychology on Mormons instead. But again, that's part of the false dichotomy. The world psychologists are evil. Trust our psychologists. Default to ours and vote for ours. Now, and I've told you before, this election, you're supposed to vote for representatives who sustain their oath to the Constitution to give all citizens equal rights of life, liberty, and property. Not to favor one particular group or creed, racial group, ethnic group, religious group, etc., etc. And so what the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is doing by being involved in the religious freedom movement is to overthrow the Constitution by demanding that special laws be added to protect religion. And they've already got the First Amendment. And so what they're doing is saying, hey, we want the right to deny rights to those we disapprove of. And that's a coup of the government. And so Senator Lee also gets a double whammy as a religious freedom member participant. That's also a coup of the government, and therefore he is disqualified from being a senator. As well as Trump. I'm the chosen one. Somebody had to do it. Yeah, somebody is doing it. It's the Jewish Christ. And those little Chinese Christian evangelical revelators filling Trump's mind that he's the promised Messiah. You gotta pay attention to the news, guys. You can't just say that Trump is almighty and all-powerful and have never read his book, or his other books, or listened to his rallies, or listened to the news about who's in contact with him, or knowing that Trump would get bedtime stories from Hannity. Read me another story, Hannity. That was fun. Once upon a time, there was this president named Trump. Ooh, I like this one. Oh wait, Putin's on the other line. Hold on, I gotta give him some more national secrets. But apparently there's a guy in Europe who does a late night comedy show, and YouTube has a video of how he's able to sleep with so many of his beautiful women who are on his show. And it's once it becomes known, it's an underground thing where when a woman gets invited to be on his show, she consents to be on the show, she's consenting for sex. That kind of a thing. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy that the people self-fulfill rather than the guy who's psychologically manipulating you, brainwashing you. And so once you believe the nonsense that they're telling you, like Senator Lee telling you all that nonsense, he's first flattering and pacifying you, Lucifer's tactics, remember? Oh yeah, the scriptures say, gotta vote for good and honest people to be in government office. But Harris isn't good and honorable. And therefore you have to vote for Trump. And you go, oh wow, yeah, it's right there in scriptures. Oh my God, I gotta do it. No. And so I'm curious. Today we're getting our ballots in the mail. The Salt Lake County new clerk, I don't think knows that I'm here, even though I told her. The previous one was on the ball and awesome. I liked her. Why did she quit? It doesn't matter. There's nothing to vote for this election. You know, all of the extra stuff for Utah have now been voided by a judge. So there's nothing on our ballots. Hilarious. And so yeah, I'm also seeing the same commercial type stuff from that guy who did the book, in which how to know if a woman is wet for you. Well, you'll see water dripping off of her. Isn't that the wet you're talking about? Or some of the more milder ones of how to know if a girl likes you, how to know if she wants to sleep with you, blah, 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 blah. It's the same thing, it's just reversing it rather than how to sleep with a girl, how to know if a girl wants to sleep with you. And when a girl asks you your age, the correct response to give her that will make her want to sleep with you. I'm wise enough to know not to fall for that. It ain't gonna happen. I just need to accept it, not get my false hopes up and pay some guy to teach me how to know if a woman wants to sleep with me when she asks me how old I am. My life is over. Sooner I accept it, the better. But yeah, it's telling people how to think, how to feel, how to believe, how to act. And if a guy falls for it and a girl falls for it, and the guy who fell for it, and a girl who fell for it bump into each other, boom, prophecy fulfilled. No, self-fulfilling prophecy fulfilled. And that's why the Mars and Venus thing becoming so popular makes people predictable. This is what psychologists do to claim that they're scientific. They're not. They rigged the contest. And so the 2016 coup on Facebook was Paul Manafort and Steve Bannon. Yeah, they used the little questionnaires of psychology to identify whether a person is a liberal or a Trump loyalist. You know, which Disney princess are you? Got to be the right one, otherwise you got the certain advertisements back from Russia. If you were the Disney princess that would support Trump, I'm not sure which one that would be, but it was the psychological questions. And who the Disney princess is didn't matter. Even though I was Pocahontas, I was trying to be Belle because I knew what this was all about. And I guessed wrong. And because Bella's awesome. Mean old Gaston. Kill the priest. And so she then, we're going to have to do this as a separate video. We'll have to do the Rob God one next. You guys pulled me away. But this leads into it because of the escalation that's occurring right before the election. And it concerns me we may not make it to the election for the Civil War bloodbath. It may come early. Because if you're attacking weather girls for prophesying and revealing accurately the damage that was done to Florida, dear God, we're doomed. And then another guy was terrorizing FEMA so to prevent them from giving aid. We're all doomed. But yeah, it was specifically designed, the Facebook thing, back in 2016's election, in which if you were answering Trump loyalist questions, you would get advertisements from Russia saying, I'd rather be Russian than vote Democrat. And then MAGA then went and made t-shirts, and people bought them, getting psychologically brainwashed into this cult of psychology. And so yes, even the bite model that Exmo Lex has been brainwashed into, yeah, psychology. They're the groomers. Psychology are the groomers. And there are self-fulfilling prophecies to get the groomers to fall into the trap of self-fulfilling prophecy. And then the psychologists go, see? They were grooming you. They did exactly what we told them they were going to do. And so this is called entrapment. Getting people who would never do such a thing to do such a thing. And so, if you were a liberal snowflake on that Facebook question, and it's 4 questions, you can only choose one answer. And if your answer is not one of the four answers, oh my God, one question each, and there's a number of questions, with four answers available, and you can only choose one of the four answers. And if your answer was not listed, tough, pick one. Specifically designed for that psychological self-fulfilling prophecy. And this is where the whole thing is exposed, is because there are other answers than what they are offering. But they threaten you to answer the questions. When I was locked up in the concentration camp, there was an attempt by a psychologist to give me questions and have me answer them. And I said, I can't answer this. My answer is not here. It's not listed. I was frustrating him so much. He was so pissed. My answer's not here. I can't answer this question. My answer is not listed. It's not available for me to answer. Nothing I can do. Sorry. So yeah, I know exactly what the people who are stuck in the treatment centers, as they're calling them, the asylums, I guess, is what they really are. I understand what those guys are going through because of what I was exposed to in the concentration camp. And yeah, I saw it in the shelter as well. Had Valley Behavioral Health that was living right next door, have representatives come over on certain days of the week to do the psychological manipulation. Hey, if you confess that you're mentally retarded, we can put you on our list to get your own home and get out of homelessness. And there were guys who fell for it, believing that, oh, okay, I got to pretend to be mentally ill. All right. And they purposely were a dumbass to pretend that they were mentally ill so that they can get a home. You don't know the danger of that because you don't get a home. The place in West Valley was run by Valley Behavioral Health, but it was specifically required for anybody who qualifies, and because of what the church did to me with the concentration camp, I qualified. And so I was living there independent, not under Valley Behavioral Health. I was not their client, but I was allowed to live there because of the conditions and such way back in 2015. But in 2018, Optum changed how they were paying those under them. Valley Behavioral Health was one of those under them. And so they had to deal with me. And I did the videos and covered it all, and back and forth on TWG and Travis Wayne Goodsell. And so I had found out by getting my medical records that they were claiming that I was their client, and they had forged medical documents, which are not really medical documents, but they were forging them, claiming that I was their client. And then, having exposed this, I then saw that they tried to cover it up and say that I was no longer their client. And so they had to figure out another way to turn the whole apartment building into an asylum, treatment center. And thus began the physical abuse and attacks. That's where they tried to poison me and were purposely causing the caseworkers to attack me. And cops refused to do anything. And it escalated to where I was given a signed, dated threat, death threat, by the property manager, saying that we'll allow you to stay for one more year, but next year we're coming to get you. And it's tied to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Church ordered it. And so, that's what happened. And still to this day, you'll see the apartment on Google as identified as a government building. What? It's not a government building. And I don't know if I'm still listed as being there for my business, so-called, not really. But yeah, they turned the other residents against me. And all I was doing YouTube videos trying to warn you of the danger of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, how they're going to coup the government and murder you. So yeah, psychology is very evil. And so yeah, in 2021, that's when they succeeded. And so it took some months, but because some failures, and they had to fire the failures. You can't fail when you're asked to murder somebody. Just like in Caprica, if you're an innocent, sweet girl, once you're in that underground meta, the only way to survive, even though you can't die, is to turn evil. And then they became the Angels of Death or something like that. I can't remember what the t-shirt was for the two girls, Zoe and Adama's sister. But, it's very sad. I see this with Mormon girls. They're all sweet and innocent, thinks the church is true, and then they get broken by the indoctrination of the church to think that because the church is true, they then have to be the weapons of Jesus in the youth Nazi battalion or the youth soldiers of the noble birthright. So say we all. So Caprica is awesome. Hearing the anthem of Caprica, that's where they all got it from. When they all in Battlestar Galactica say, "So say we all, so say we all." It's a reminder to the anthem. And there's a reason why I put the song clips in the description below. There was a concern that YouTube's algorithms had sabotaged YouTube to ban all music from YouTube on the 29th of September. But anyway. And so yeah, I'm seeing all those channels on YouTube now about how the 8 things that them listed in the files. Let me read over some of them for you. Girls are wet when they show these 5 signs. Top 18 female phrases, hidden meanings, and it's a part 1 and a part 2. Women are groomed to use those secret phrases in their questioning of you, interrogation, to force you to say the right thing, and if you don't say the right thing, which not a single guy does, you now are the enemy and they hate you and you have to sleep on the couch that night. Quit sabotaging your relationship. Be honest. Ask. Say, I really have a crush on you. I would like to get to know you better before jumping into a physical relationship. Is that okay? Rather than, so what do you think about the election? Do I look fat in this dress? No! Stop! No! Don't do that. You are a woman and therefore automatically beautiful. He's with you, which means he likes you. He's sexually attracted to you. Cut it out. But I need him to say the words. Say the words. And so, yes, this is what Nelson, since this is a whole new video, we'll bring him in. Just pure, from start to finish, psychological manipulation. It was sick and disgusting. How long was that talk anyway? Let's reference that. Stay alive, stay alive. People say you're breaking it up, everybody shaking and staying alive. Okay, that's Irene. So did I put it in its proper file? I must have. Nope. So where are you then? You're supposed to be labeled like that one. Why aren't you labeled like... Oh, there you are. 14 minutes, 49 seconds. Okay, so it is a little bit longer than his April one. But, yeah, the whole thing, just, dear God, I'm just going, oh my hell. He's on full-on hypnotizing of Mormons. And then covering it up with saying that in the coming day, Jesus, and he didn't show. Mormons are still waiting. It's got to be true. It's just not the day yet. No man knows the day or the hour, so it can be any time now. No, he's a false prophet. Over and over all these years I've been exposing this for you. When he said that Israel means let God prevail, that means he's a false translator. Remember? He's supposed to be a translator. Oh, Irene didn't say that he's a translator? None of the presidents of the church or apostles are translators? They leave that one out? Well, I guess we can't judge him by that fruit. Really? You're that dumb, are you? God. So, yeah. Lee's thumbnail picture. There we go. Yeah, I was worried because I have the one set for the storm on Thursday. I even have some videos for you. That's next. But yeah, Nelson just lies. He just makes stuff up, changes scripture in the church. He's the prophet, and so we have to change the manuals to conform and comply. And so anybody who has intelligence will go through the manuals and go, what the hell? Who said this? Nelson? They're purposely destroying this church. That's why it's only down to 2 or 2.5 million left. Is because they're wanting to find out who are the extremist Mormons and to get them to be involved in the coup. And all you sensitive snowflakes who leave, you're now called the enemy. You're apostate, anti-Mormon, anti-Christ core whores. And thus, Nelson is using this false dichotomy on Mormons to threaten you to stay Mormon, or, if you leave, to call you the enemy. But then still says, love your neighbor. Keep working on them. Try to brainwash them to be Mormon. And Mormons fall for it. As the psychologist was on 3 questions, Fox News, Fox 13 News, Utah. So do you think you'll ever come back to the church? Oh, yeah, I could come back to the church. I don't think they'll let me. But yeah, I mean, certain things would have to change. The psychologist got exposed. If the church is wrong, the church is wrong. You don't try to come back and try to change it. Little Nemo found that out the hard way, and I warned him when I first saw him doing his videos. Don't do it, little Nemo. You don't know better than the prophets. They're gonna get ya, and then they got ya. That's prophecy. Based on experience with the church. Because they threatened me when I deciphered Paleo-Hebrew. Deny it, Travis. Deny it. What? Deny Joseph Smith as a translator? What the hell? What church is this? Am I in the right church? Nope. No, I'm not. Well, you should have told me. Why are you claiming Joseph Smith is your founder when you don't even believe in him? Why are you claiming the Book of Mormon when you've got all these forged documents contradicting it? And one of those is Will a Man Rob God? Coming up next. God, there goes my day. I'm winding down for you guys, winding down. So yeah, this is a very dangerous situation. I don't see anybody wanting to pull out of it, because to warn a person who's brainwashed, you become a threat to them and they attack you when you're trying to save their lives. And I knew this going in from the beginning, that to tell Mormons they're wicked and they need to repent. I already read the Book of Mormon. I know exactly what the response is going to be from Mormons. Sure enough, exactly as the Book of Mormon prophesied. And that's where the difference is. Nelson used flattery, pacification, and deception with a whole bunch of fallacy arguments to brainwash you. And then you, by believing him, self-fulfill his self-fulfilling prophecy for you. Whereas I tell you, you need to repent or the consequences will happen. And then you attack me. I'm risking my life to try to save you. And I'm here because I've been attacked. I see what's going on, and I can't get it through to anybody. Very sad. So, very sad.